Top boxing news. Ow!
Okay, we'll start with this. Kim Klavel of Canada's own unbeaten light flyweight, Kim Klavel, stated, "World champion Yesenia Gomez asks for more time before facing me. My fight for the WBC Flyweight World Championship belt is postponed to May, still in Montreal. What she doesn't know is that no matter what the weather, she won't beat me."
You think Yesenia Gomez is getting cold feet?
Yesenia Gomez, Mexico's own Yesenia Gomez, has reigned as this division's WBC light flyweight champion since 2018 and has made no attempts to unify titles or bring big fights to this division. I'm not the least bit surprised to see there may be a wavering commitment there when it comes to that Kim Klavel fight. Kim Klavel, who I think can outpoint Yesenia Gomez and become this division's newly crowned WBC champion. My honest opinion on Yesenia Gomez is she's only remained a champion this long by avoiding tough fights and avoiding tough challenges. I don't like Yesenia Gomez's chances against any of the other titleists at this weight or any unbeaten ambitious up-and-comers, Kim Klavel included.
Well, at some point, she's going to have to fight somebody.
Kim Klavel or someone else. Do I think this heralds trouble in paradise?
Is it possible Yesenia Gomez hauls ass?
Is it possible she walks away from this thing? Well, I wouldn't put it past her. I wouldn't. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully the fight comes off in May.
Yesenia's a lot more experienced than Kim, but she claims she wants more time.
She has seen action in the last 12 months.
I guess we have to wait for Klavel versus Gomez in May.
Clarissa Shields, who's going to be in action early next month, posted this via her Twitter account. It appears she is going to be set to return to the PFL later this year.
Really?
Later this year, we're all anticipating that should she make it through the Emma Kozin fight, she will move into the Savannah Marshall grudge match, the Savannah Marshall undisputed title fight at 160 pounds. And you wonder, if she's juggling both sports, if she's multitasking, won't that serve us as a distraction?
Is it really wise to do?
Juggling two sports, performing as an athlete in two separate disciplines that require different types of muscle memory. Mixed martial arts in the octagon, boxing in the squared circle, in the ring. Is it really wise to do all of this? Clarissa Shields is going to be taking on Slovenia's own Emma Kozin, unbeaten Emma Kozin, and I'm quite confident that Clarissa Shields, at minimum, can outpoint the very crude Emma Kozin. I think she can do that. It's conceivable that we're going to see Savannah Marshall one more time before that inexorable Clarissa Shields showdown. When is the question?
And against who?
In the last 12 months, the middleweight division's own Raquel Miller of the United States, she's returned to action, and I wouldn't mind it at all to see Raquel take on Savannah Marshall en route to the Clarissa Shields fight in defense of Savannah's WBO title. A risky proposition, I know, and a decent step up in competition for Raquel, but the Clarissa Shields fight, in my opinion, it still needs to be built. It still needs marination. And we know that Savannah is going to be boxing at least one more time before she faces Clarissa. So why not fight someone interesting?
It's being billed as the biggest fight in women's boxing history.
The Clarissa Shields versus Savannah Marshall fight. And I don't know how true that is, because this same year we're supposed to also be getting Taylor versus Serrano. And equally,
Hey, out of those two fights, which one do you think is bigger?
I'm just giving it to you straight. It's the only way I know how to give it to you. And I think people at Boxer, I think people over there at Sky, I think there's more work needs doing in order to promote the Shields versus Marshall showdown. And one way to promote that fight, one way to do it, is to put Savannah in there with somebody that's interesting.
Musea was cannon fodder for Savannah.
And Emma Kozin for Clarissa Shields, well, that's just plain old target practice.
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Fury don't want to fight Usyk, in my opinion, because he had the opportunity to do it through these discussions, and really, when it came down to it, he really don't want to. What Fury wants to do is have a little easy one in March. That's what he really wants to do. Now, he's going to have to fight Dillian Whyte. And by the way, after all this kerfuffle, he'll get beat by Dillian Whyte. He'll get knocked out by Dillian Whyte. But the reality is, when it really came down to it, he never wanted to fight Alexander Usyk, because he could have gone straight into a fight with Alexander Usyk. But he didn't want to go straight into a fight with Alexander Usyk. But you won't ever hear that, and the public won't ever hear that. You'll just hear Fury on Instagram screaming and shouting with smoke and mirrors.
That is Mr. Eddie Hearn dropping a bombshell on the boxing fans that Tyson Fury actually had the chance, the opportunity to at least entertain going straight into a Alexander Usyk undisputed title fight, and he was insistent that he get a lighter touch in March, which is in keeping with what we've been hearing, that they're going to get him out there. They're going to get him out there sometime this spring, with or without Dillian White, and some of the names mentioned, some of the names that we have heard, are the names of Manuel Char, Robert Helenius.
What Eddie is saying is that Fury didn't want to fight Usyk.
Not straight away, and that version of the story is corroborated by none other than Klimas. Klimas, who responded to some comments from Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury ripped into the heavyweight division saying Anthony Joshua is a coward, Alexander Usyk is a pussy, and Dillian White don't want to fight. Either fight or do one, you pack of wet lettuces. That's what Tyson Fury had to say about it, to which Klimas responded,
Yo, man, listen, before next time you will mention Usyk name, check with your team, management, advisors, promoters, who agreed with all terms and conditions. Look like you are the one who is holding this wagon. Yelling and talking is cheap, Tyson Fury.
You are hearing more or less the same story from two separate characters in this saga. Two separate guys. Eddie Hearn on one end, Klimas on the other, and they're both saying the same thing. That Tyson Fury looks like he might have had that opportunity, but he's the one that blew it. He's the one that didn't want it.
Listen, I don't think he's going to fight Dillian White.
I'll tell you what I think. I'll tell you. I think that he doesn't want to fight Dillian White, and if I'm being honest, becoming this division's undisputed champion, holding all four belts at the same time, don't mean to Tyson Fury what it means to Usyk and what it meant to Anthony Joshua. I don't think he's as committed to realizing that dream, achieving that goal, as they are.
I think Tyson Fury's full of shit.
That's what I think. You got Klimas and Eddie Hearn both saying the same thing.
We're going to believe this spastic over to both of them?
Guy hasn't been able to shut the fuck up the last couple of days.
Another day finished. Another 2 times in the office today. On the road and in the office. Joe, how did it go?
Very good. The best day.
For all you heavyweight cowards out there, come see the big dog. Another gym session done. Tuesday morning smashed. Tick, tick, effing tick, tock is the subject of today. Is Dillian White gonna fight me? Is Anthony Joshua gonna step aside? Let me know, because I am sick of looking at these bums. Sick of listening to their excuses. Tick, tick, tock. The time has run out the bottle. You're all getting a good hiding, cowards. Over and over again. I do not know the answers to it. I'm ready to fight this weekend. I've been training 3 weeks. How long does a man need to train? Joshua's a coward. Usyk's a pussy, and Dillian White don't want to fight. So if you can prove me wrong, get to fucking fighting. You pair of cowards. You're all cowards. You're all bumdossers. Either fight or do one. You pack of wet lettuces. I'm just going to keep videoing until one of these cowards decide to fight. You're all cowards, shithouse bums. I don't care who I fight. AJ, Usyk, Dillian White, or any of them. Fight me. I'm the best man that's ever lived. And yous are all coward bumdossers. I'll annihilate the lot of yous and destroy yous. Submit yous. Tap you bitches out. Come and fight. I tell you what, boys. There's some pack of cowards out there. And some pack of bullshit talkers. I tell you that now. Making all the demands in the world. You cowards. Come and fight. Had to do this video. Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua have got to be the worstest damn businessmen in history. Today they lost $90 million. Goddamn son of a bitches. Crazy ass. I can't wait to punch Dillian White's face right in, mate. I'm going to give him the best eye that he's ever had in his life, boy. Dillian White, train hard, sucker, because you're getting annihilated, bum.
The last few days, Tyson Fury has been very busy uploading videos like this to his social media. Approximately 6 or 7 video uploads in just the last 2, maybe 3 days. And he strikes me as a man who's coming apart at the seams. He strikes me as a man who is beginning to unravel because the walls are closing in on him. He's attempting to run interference. I don't believe he's going to fight Dillian White.
I think the reason this guy's been uploading all these videos is to give people a misrepresentation of things.
Misrepresent what's happening behind the scenes, because behind the scenes, Eddie Hearn knows and Klimas knows that Tyson Fury doesn't want to fight any of those guys next. What he wants is a lighter touch, which is what I've been telling you all along.
What do you think? Bob Arum mentioned Robert Helenius and Manuel Shaw for no reason?
What this guy wants is a lighter touch, like a Tom Schwartz kind of situation. What he wants is a lighter touch. He wants to stay on easy street while Joshua and Usyk settle up with each other for a second time. He doesn't want to have to satisfy his mandatory challenger, Dillian White.
And he doesn't seem to want to go straight into an Usyk fight either.
Oh, what are you going to tell me? That you're going to take Tyson Fury's word over everyone else's? Tyson Fury, the walking, talking contradiction.
Had to do this video. Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua have got to be the worstest damn businessmen in history. Today they lost $90 million. Goddamn son of a bitches. Crazy ass.
Tyson Fury is a walking, talking contradiction. It was Tyson Fury who once said that Anthony Joshua isn't a fighting man. He's a businessman. But if that were true, Anthony Joshua would have took the step-aside deal. He would have taken that money and let you two guys settle up with each other. As it stands, that's not what happened.
If he were a businessman, he would have prioritized business over legacy.
So what are we supposed to do now? Lambast Anthony Joshua for not stepping aside?
You gotta make it make sense.
And that's the problem. With Tyson Fury, it never does. If Dillian White is so easy to beat, if he's so sharp...
Eddie Hearn thinks that fight is next, but I don't.
From the looks of it, Eddie Hearn seems to be of the opinion that nothing is going to get in the way of that purse bid tomorrow afternoon. And from where he's sitting, it might look that way. But that purse bid and whatever happens doesn't guarantee a Dillian White fight. I'm telling you, Tyson Fury is going to find a way out.
If he proves me wrong and the fight happens, then great.
But I've been a boxing fan a long time. I mean a long, long fucking time. Perhaps it's made me cynical, skeptical in situations like this when I see the energy that Tyson Fury is putting forward. He's trying to lambast all of these guys, but he's the one doing all the talking. You don't see Anthony Joshua uploading video after video running his jibs. You certainly don't see Alexander Usyk doing this. It's Tyson Fury all by himself. Hell, not even Dillian White, who's never at a loss for words when it comes to his contemporaries. Not even he!
The only one shooting off at the mouth nonstop is Tyson Fury.
Nervous energy from where I'm sitting. He's going to be faced with a tough choice if that purse bid comes into fruition and Matchroom, by some chance, happens to win that bid. If Matchroom wins that bid, he's got to decide whether or not he wants to go through with that fight. And I'm not convinced it happens. I'm convinced.
He's going to find a way out, even if he has to chuck that belt.
He doesn't want that succession of fights. In that succession, a Dillian White fight, then the winner of Joshua versus Usyk. He doesn't want things to happen in that sequence, in that order, because even if he beats Dillian White, he might get roughed up in the process of doing so. He might get battered, but he might still win, though he'd go into that potential Usyk fight or that potential Joshua fight tenderized.
That's why he doesn't want to fight Dillian White.
There are too many people married to the idea that Tyson Fury is this era's premier heavyweight because of the Wilder fights, because they certainly weren't calling him that after the Klitschko fight. After the Klitschko fight and that god-awful aesthetic, nobody thought Tyson Fury hailed the moon and the stars based on that performance. Thus, everything you hear about Tyson Fury's boxing here today is based on what he did to a one-handed fighter 3 times. He fights the same guy 3 times in about 3 years.
And that makes him king shit?
And I'm not trying to tell you that he's a bad boxer. I'm just telling you that beating Wilder 3 times don't make him this era's premier heavyweight. He's got to get out there, show, and prove against his contemporaries, because Wilder by himself, he never fought Anthony Joshua. He never fought Dillian White. He never fought Alexander Usyk. Wilder's been around for over a decade, and he hasn't faced the vast majority of his contemporaries. Thus, beating him doesn't make you the premier premier heavyweight of this era, because he didn't prove that.
Oh, you think I'm off base? Then why is Egas Klimas saying the same thing that Eddie Hearn is saying?
You think I'm off base? Hey, didn't Tyson Fury, before the second Wilder fight, didn't he fight 2 lighter touches? How did you interpret the Tom Schwartz fight when that fight was announced? How did you interpret the Otto Wallin fight when that fight was first announced? I know the Wallin fight ended up being harder than people thought it would, though all the same. When he picked that guy, how did you interpret that fight? Did you think Otto Wallin was going to give him a run for his money?
You think he picked that guy because he was looking for a hard fight?
I believe Egas Klimas' version of the story. I believe Eddie Hearn. I believe his version of the story as well. I believe that Tyson Fury, he doesn't really want that Usyk fight, though he might feel pressured to take it. He doesn't want that fight straight away. He wants lighter touches in between. And I'm sorry to tell you this, you might not share this opinion with me, but Dillian White is not a lighter touch.
Even if Tyson Fury were to have that fight and win that fight, he still gets roughed up.
According to Dillian White, he used to rough that guy up in sparring all the time. That's according to Dillian White. Those guys, those two, they have history. Perhaps that's why Dillian White approaches this fight with such confidence. It's almost like he knows something that the rest of the world don't know.
He knew the same thing about Wilder, too.
When Tyson Fury decided to first mount his comeback, the Safari fight, the Pianetta fight, there were 2 options laid before him. Anthony Joshua on one end, Deontay Wilder on the other, and he chose Deontay Wilder. He knew what he was doing, and he's been inside of that bubble for the last 2 or 3 years, but now Wilder, he's approaching the end of his career. That's what's going on with him. You can't...
Wilder chose you, and you chose him.
You don't have him to turn to anymore. He, like you, rejected an Anthony Joshua fight to maintain his engagement and continue his saga with you. And you did that. We done been there, and we've seen it.
Why should fighting Dillian White be such a big fucking deal?
He doesn't want that fight. And Bob Arum and Frank Warren, they don't like this situation. This thing goes to a purse bid. Eddie Hearn can bid aggressively for the fight and potentially win the rights to it. You're out of your fucking mind if you think they want to see Tyson Fury fighting on a Matchroom card as part of a Matchroom show.
I don't believe this fight is gonna happen.
There are a lot of things that could come to pass after this Friday. But a fight between these 2 guys, I don't think is one of them.
He'll find a way out.
And you know what? The WBC might help him find a way out. But I don't think these 2 guys is going to fight.